We did finish up the canvassing of the election, and everything went smooth, and it all looks good. And I want to thank Bev for doing that. Congratulations for doing such a great job. Okay, we'll start our agenda meeting and calling the meeting to order. First of all, we recite the Pledge of Allegiance and stand if you're able.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I need a motion to consider the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We had a first and second, all in favor.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, we need a motion to consider the minutes of the August 4th, 2026 regular meeting.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd move to approve the minutes of the August 4th, 2026 regular meeting and the August 5th, 2026 special meeting. I'll second that.
Okay, first and second, all in favor.
Aye.
Motion carried. Any citizen wishing to make a statement during the discussion of any item must first be recognized by the commission chair. After being recognized, that person should state their name and the name of any organization represented. Statement should be limited to 5 minutes. Please silence all phones and electronic devices. Recording the meeting is allowed, and the commission requests that anyone using special recording equipment be seated in the back row to avoid creating a distraction during the meeting. Moving on to old business, and there is no old business at this time. And we need approval of appropriations, and Ms. Meidler, our county clerk, will present details.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
We have the regular accounts payable register for the period of July 28, 2026, ending August 11, 2026, and ask for approval.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion unless we've got a discussion.
Mr. Chair,
I
Yes.
move to approve appropriations for the period of July 28, 2026 to August 11, 2026, and authorize the chairman to sign on behalf of the commission.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a first and second, all in favor.
Aye.
Motion carried. Moving on to new business. We have Community Anti-Drug Coalition of America and Tyler Morton, our Juvenile Services Prevention Advocate, will give some details.
Good morning, Commissioners. You're all looking lovely as ever. Tyler Morton, the Prevention Advocate of the 20th Judicial Juvenile Services, here today to report out with the group that went to the 2026 CACA mid-year trip in Orlando, Florida last month. I don't have a lot to share with you today personally myself. I'm going to let them do the bulk of it, but I did want to come up and thank you guys again for approving us to go on that trip. I know it's a big undertaking for all of us, and so we always appreciate your guys' support. This is the 5th time that we've been to that conference, so it's our way to reward the youth that put in the work throughout the year to go and do something special like that. We have 4 youth that are going to talk to you guys today, 2 that have been on this trip in previous years, 2 that got to go for the first time this year. We also had 2 parents that went along with me as well as chaperones. One was unable to be here today because of a work obligation, but I do have another one here that's going to talk to you guys. Along with being parents of youth in the program, they are also youth crew stakeholders. So a couple different lenses they're going to take that from as well and share with you guys about the experience and what happened. Having 2 other adults accompany and having one of our smaller groups this year took a lot off my plate as far as what you guys have heard in the years past. Everything went super smooth this time. We didn't have any tornadoes. We didn't have any fire alarms, nothing crazy like that. So everything went super smooth. Got a chance to kind of bounce back and forth between what the youth were doing in the adult training sessions, which I hadn't got to do before because they always require an adult to stay with the youth. So that was nice. Got to connect with some colleagues and just talk about what the future looks like. We're getting ready to move into that sustainability part and how do we keep this program going in the county and for the youth. And so that's where the focus is now, working on that. So I will turn it over to these guys and go from there. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Like Tyler said, I was one of the people that had never gone before, so this was my first year. And I'll say my name is JC Sandberg, and I'm with Youth Crew and/or Juvenile Services. And today I wanted to talk about the logic model that we learned in Key Essentials this year. Basically, a logic model it explains what's happening, why it's happening, and why it's happening in your community. So there's 3 parts to the logic model: a problem statement, root causes / risk factors, and then local conditions. So there's 6 criteria to an effective problem statement. And the first one would be avoid blaming anyone, and then avoid proposing solutions. Define the problem in terms of conditions and behaviors. Then define the problem in a way that is measurable. Reflect community concerns and name one problem at a time. So to lead off of that, a problem statement would be something very simple like teens in Barton County consuming alcohol. So there's a problem, there's a substance, there is a who's consuming the substance, and then there is where it's happening. And to piggyback off of that, there's root causes and risk factors, which is basically the but why. So there is 6 risk factors that come into it. There's social access, which is person-to-person access to the substance, which would be like if you're getting alcohol from a party or if you're getting it from your friend. Then there's community norms. That's community events that encourage the use of substances, as in maybe like at a quinceañera, if they're not really paying too much attention, maybe it's a lot easier to get alcohol or marijuana. And there's price and promotion, which is the sale of products at low prices and or advertised to youth. That's why you'll see if you go to a drugstore or a gas station, you'll see like the vape boxes will have bright colors in them. It's kind of to advertise to younger communities, which is not the best thing, obviously. And then we have retail access, which is access to the substance that includes monetary transactions, which would be if a gas station is not carding, you could just go in and buy something, which is a big problem, especially since that is illegal and you should be carding. So there's that one. And then there's laws and enforcement, which is the absence of or lack thereof enforcement and established laws and rules. So that would be like if a cop just drove by a park and there's people drinking alcohol, he should stop or she should stop to see, like, especially if they look underage, that would be a big problem. Then we have favorable attitude, which is the last one. It's positive perceptions and use among youth and adults, which would be, say, a kid is asking their parent, like, can I go to a party? They'd be like, yeah. Or if they get the alcohol from their parents or from someone that is of age, that would be favorable attitudes. So to piggyback off of that, we have local conditions, which is but why here. So the local condition needs to be specific, which needs to be unique to your community. Then it needs to be identifiable, which it needs to be specific enough so that the problem can be visualized and identified by others. And then it needs to be actionable, which it needs to be realistic and that can actually change the environment. So it's who is doing what, where. So for example, a local condition would be like kids, or I'll say teens, underage alcohol consumption happens in Barton County because, say I chose social access for one of my risk factors. It's because they are going to parties or because their parents don't lock up the alcohol. So yeah, that is the logic model. Thank you.
Very good.
I am Braylon Comark, and I'm doing the 7 C's of leadership, which is basically 7 leadership qualities that all start with C. So first we have consciousness of self, which is like realizing what you can do like in the community. The next one is congruence, which is like how you're acting, if you're acting honestly or not honestly. Commitment, which is like being always engaged with the goal. Collaboration, which is like working together with your peers. And common purpose, which is a purpose that people share. controversy with civility, which is like realizing and knowing that conflicts will arise in the group or the community that you're working in, and citizenship, which is making the world a better place. So we did an activity in Orlando that's called, we had to like act out one of the 7 C's. Me and JC were, and like a group from Pennsylvania, not Tennessee, sorry, Pennsylvania, where we had to act out a common purpose. So we were like choosing lanyard colors. Me and JC couldn't decide on red, purple, or blue for the colors, and we were like arguing about that, and then the group from Pennsylvania like came in like very quickly and said, what about blue? Because it's like this, like if you mix blue and red, you get purple. So we chose blue because it was the colors of like the main color that, and what our lanyards actually were in the group. And that's all I have.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Nice to see you all again. My name is Maya Brewer. This is my 3rd year going to CADCA, and I'm here with Youth Crew. Today I will be talking about a summit that I did called Fentanyl Free America. I went to, I think, 2 summits, and then I did 2 adult sessions, and then the rest were just breakout sessions. But this summit stuck out to me because it raised awareness on how much fentanyl really is taking over and how much of a problem it has become. And before going to this conference this year, I hadn't realized this yet. And I thought our main problems were alcohol or marijuana or tobacco, but really fentanyl is a big one as well. The part that I wanted to talk about from my summit was how we can bring back information to our communities on how to raise awareness on fentanyl and what you can do if you know someone that does fentanyl or has it or is selling it or stuff like that. There are 5 main parts to this. The first part is education. Education is just raising awareness on fentanyl throughout the whole community, whether that be family members or teachers or grandparents or kids, students. Just raising awareness on how harmful it really can be and how it can be deadly in most cases. The next thing we talked about was prevention. Youth Crew, as a prevention group, we do a lot of this. So we'll go out in the community and have a booth out on the courtyard, or we just did our Kick Tobacco kickball tournament. And that's just raising awareness on drug and alcohol misuse, especially with youth. The next thing we talked about was early conversations. Early conversations is just getting to the youth whenever they're at a younger age, appropriate age, and just talking about how, like things that they can do to stay away from drugs and alcohol and fentanyl, and ways that they can interact with their youth in a positive way instead of doing illegal substances. The next thing that we talked about was family awareness. Family awareness is just making sure that adults or parents, legal guardians know what their youth are doing outside of their view. So just making sure that they aren't doing any illegal things and hanging out with the right group. But family awareness is also for older siblings. We want to raise awareness for older siblings because younger siblings are always looking up to them. And if the older siblings are doing illegal substances or fentanyl, then the younger siblings would want to follow in their footsteps, and we just want to make sure that they have the right awareness on it and making sure that they know the right things to do instead of drugs and alcohol. The last thing we talked about was community involvement. Being involved in our community is with Youth Crew is just going to their schools and talking to youth and having our kickball tournaments and having booths set up and passing out and having meetings for youth and just talking about how fentanyl or drugs and alcohol can be very harmful. And we've had a lot of great outcomes out of this. And I feel like Youth Crew is just a good place that youth can go as a positive outlook instead of doing drugs, alcohol, fentanyl. And yeah, so that's what that's my main thing that I want to talk about for my Fentanyl Free America Summit. But thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Wait, I need to get my notes out. Hi, I'm Branson Halindi. This was my third year going to CATCA, and what I'm talking about is we went through most of the youth sessions, so we ended up going to an adult session, which was called Beyond Resilience. It's really just talking about the different types of coalitions. There's 3 that I have written down: is fragile, resilient, and anti-fragile. Fragile is more fear, denial. They over-specialize in just one instead of a broad category. And then resilient acknowledges the change, but they don't always change with what's going on in our youth. They lack imagination and they lack grit and determination. And then we have anti-fragile that coalition realizes it has to change with the problem too. It's more for cases, reality checks, and influence change. It has courage, imagination, flexibility, and humility. So they see their mistakes and they try to change with it. There was a activity that we did in the conference. It was we got into small groups and we each got given a community that had a problem that we needed to figure out how to solve. I was given a really small town, rural, smaller than Ellenwood. We have the closest hospital is 50 miles away, and when it's snowy, that road to the hospital it closes down. It's unsafe to get there. So we had to figure out how to get their materials in our town, so we have life-saving materials to get to the hospital whenever it's snowy or the road closes down. And it was we were given 30 minutes and then we had to go present. It was a really difficult task, and it was enjoyable to see all the different perspectives in that with the adults and the kids in that conference. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Shane Sandberg. I'm the sports director at the Great Bend Rec. I serve as a stakeholder in Barton County Youth Crew on the youth serving organization sector. The biggest takeaway I thought it was a great idea to include a stakeholder in the invitation this year to go with them. One, because that freed Tyler up to continue his training and education. 2, because it gave me a chance to see how this group compares to other groups from around the country. Obviously, they've had the opportunity in the last couple of years to host the Y-Link, the Youth Leader in Kansas conference in Hoisington. So that should go a long way to tell you guys where these guys stack up. But the biggest thing with being in the Key Essentials with Braylon and JC was seeing the content, and that it wasn't a whole lot of new content to them. They've done a great job. The organization, the leaders, Tyler, Jasmine Figueroa has been there before, of bringing that content back and translating it to them and showing it to them early. So that gave Braylon and JC an opportunity to really be group leaders in, rooms with hundreds of kids in them and speak on these things, kind of experts on the situation. So they're doing a great job. Be walking around seeing all the leaders and instructors. They know Tyler. They know Branson and Maya from years before. So this group really does have a reach, all over the prevention map as far as the United States goes. So I was very impressed, and I hope they continue to get these opportunities to do that. Thank you.
Just to put a bow on this, and if you guys have any questions, I'm sure they would love to come back up to the microphone and answer those for you. But, we talk a lot about the investment piece with sending youth to CADCA, the stuff they have to go throughout the year, the community service, the coming to meetings, all the participation that they do. I don't know if it occurred to Marissa, but it didn't occur to me until later in the game when we were selecting this team that the 4 youth that are before you today are youth that have been in this program for 3-4 years minimum, I think, at this point. Most of these youth started off in 6th grade with the All-Stars program, which we're still doing today. Maya came in as like a 5th grader, I think, because I just happened to move to Hoisington, and she was good friends with my next door neighbor, so she just happened to come in a little bit early. But they have really put a lot of time and energy into this. And another thing that's come up recently is that as we've continued to evolve, and now we're going into year 6 of this program, a lot of the youth that we started with that stuck around this long, now we're going into high school. And this is the first time really that our roster has flipped over to where we have more high schoolers than we do middle school or 6th grade, or maybe an even amount of them. But those that are around the most are now in high school. And so that changes everything. That changes their peer group, that changes their schedules, that changes the activities they can get involved in. A lot of them are working now. Some of them are driving, getting that independence. So this is going to be a heavy ask over the next 4 years or whatever they have left of high school, to stay committed to this, to make it part of what their routine. And so that is the hope and prayers for them. But as you guys heard, a lot of information. I thought, especially for Maya and Branson, I wasn't with them for a majority of the time. Nichelle, Branson's mother, was with them for a lot of it. The fact that they had gone to those other tracks, had learned a lot of that information, and took it upon themselves to go and get more educated in the adult sessions. And I know that the presenters and the adults in those sessions appreciated that, because right now they're really trying to bridge that gap of how do we get kids from high school to carry this work over into college and into their adult lives. And you can't do that when there's no youth presence. So the fact that they would go sit in those sessions said a lot about their character and what this means to them. So if you guys have any questions of myself, Shane, the youth, Marissa, we're all here to answer whatever.
They all did a great job. This is one of the things I always look forward to and always enjoy, you guys coming back and reporting of your trips that you take and what the knowledge that you received. So great thing.
Tell them we're going to get you on one of these trips one of these days. They didn't even tell you that we took everybody to the beach too. This was also one of the first times we go all the way to Florida. You got to go to the ocean. So I think, how many of you guys went to the ocean for the first time? Was it 3 of you guys?
Wow.
2 of you guys? Okay, there you go. So
Well, it'd be a great experience for them just to see Florida and experience that.
oh, they felt Florida. It was hot, hot, and humid.
And no tornadoes.
Yeah, and no tornadoes. Yeah, luckily.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I just want to say I'm so impressed by your presentations this morning. You guys really did your homework. And my question is, how many other youth get to hear these presentations and to hear the information and the knowledge that they brought back from this conference?
That's a good point. So when they come back from CADCA, we usually will do a radio interview, which was already done, work with you guys, and then they also present to our stakeholders because we have a quarterly meeting with Shane and the rest of the team. They do talk to their peers about this, but there's never actually been a set time to talk to the peers. That would probably be more per lesson that we do at the meetings. Marissa and I have talked about ways to make those more youth-led. And so doing that along with the evidence-based strategies that we have to keep in mind too, as far as the stuff that we talk about is backed by factual data. We're not just pulling things out of thin air. But there's more of a call to that. I think in our youth crew meeting yesterday with Great Bend, we were talking about skill sets, and a lot of them pointed to their public speaking skills. And so I know Braylon loves public speaking. That's her. And so we're working on that. But I mean, honestly, for all 4 of them, and even some of the other youth that we have as well, when they come in, a lot of them don't like to speak out loud, let alone, I mean, you say talk to your peers and you think that's an easy thing, but that's hard if you don't want to speak. And so we really have to work on that. We have to work on the presentation. And Marissa and I tell them all the time, we do public speaking. We screw up all the time. We say dumb things into live microphones. It's just what happens. You don't learn without making mistakes. And so That's the deal with that is trying to get them in front of people. The booths that they were talking about at the city events, including Hope Fest and some of the other stuff that's coming up here soon. Marissa and I have tried to make it a point to take more time back of our weekends and spend time with our families and let them go lead and let them go talk to their peers and let them talk because so much more of an impact that they make being out there. Now, Marissa and I can make an impact, but it's a youth-led program. It's not a Tyler and Marissa-led program. So put them at the forefront, let them do what they're supposed to do. And we get a lot of compliments about how they conduct themselves when they go do a 4-hour booth at a city event. So
Your next generation of leaders sitting right there for sure.
Not only are they representing Barton County, but just think of what they bring back to their schools, and I'm sure there's a lot of other younger look up to you guys.
So there's a lot of focus on the state of Kansas right now. One thing JC didn't mention is she's part of KIPAC, which is Kansas Youth Prevention Action Council. Did I get all that right? Perfect. She's only one of 2 youth that have ever done it before. Jasmine was the other one previously. They have to apply for it. They have to send in. Do you have to send in a resume for it, or did you have to send in a bunch of stuff?
I didn't have to.
You didn't have to. Okay. But they had a special meeting at CATCA with the president of CATCA, so the one that's kind of overseeing this whole thing, and another president of a college. I think it was Cal Fullerton out in California, which now JC has an automatic contact to that because he was picking on her. And so she goes, great, I'll get a scholarship to your college when I'm done here. And we're going to hold them to that. But they had a special meeting with the state of Kansas. There was about probably 30 youth in that room. A lot of them had already moved on to college. And again, they're talking about how to bridge that gap. And so there's a lot of focus on this state. And, a lot of the kids, Jasmine and her group that were here the last 4 years, they've all moved on to college now. Now they're starting to get involved in the communities that we talked about for all those years. So now it's time for these guys to get ready to do the same.
Very good. Very good.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have a question for Maya. When you went to your summit, what age do you recommend bringing back the beginning stages of learning? Some people say 5th grade, 6th grade. Where would you think that, and especially with fentanyl awareness and that kind of thing, what grade would you suggest?
I feel like an appropriate grade would be 5th grade, lowest 4th grade, but we have to educate them in an appropriate way for their age. So I would just say, whatever age they are, it just depends on how we educate them on that. But 5th grade, 1st grade, I feel like it's good.
Good to hear you say that, because Kiwanis is working with the sheriff's office with their DARE with the Don't Meth With Us program. And would you guys be interested in helping us when we kick that off this year somehow? We
Yes.
could call and
Well, look at me. They're asking you guys.
I'll call you guys and let you know when we get together and start planning our meetings. We'll go into the schools and that's why I asked you on the grade, because they said that we should start at 5th grade, and it seems so young to me for awareness and methamphetamines, but they said it's not. So I'm glad to hear you confirm that. Thanks.
Yeah, the point with that would be probably that, we start this with 6th grade with All-Stars. I think all these guys came from 6th grade and All-Stars, no? What, 7th grade? Oh, excuse me, one year later, but that it's just the introduction to not making healthy choices. And I think the other part with that too, and maybe Marissa could speak more to this at a later date, but just the tie with the family, familial ties, the environments they come from. A lot of kids are already exposed to that even as young as birth and don't know that they're being exposed to that stuff. I know Branson's got an interesting story about fentanyl recently with having major surgery and how that affected him, and just not even realizing the effects of that. And that was in a controlled environment under supervision, and it still had a pretty negative effect for him. So, 5th, 6th grade, somewhere in there.
We'll get a hold of you guys and have you help us with that program. Thank you. I hope you guys had fun too.
Any other questions?
Any more?
I was gonna say, I think they have a slideshow, one more slideshow for you to, so you can see just a little. Yeah.
Your time.
While they're pulling that up, JC Braylon, Maya Branson, I just wanted to tell you that you guys all did a great job at the microphone today, and that's a very hard thing to do. And so I wanted to let you know that it'll serve you well in life practicing at this age and getting involved in your community. Each one of you can make a big difference in your communities, and you're starting out exactly where you should be right now, and I hope that you'll keep going forward with that for the rest of your lives.
I think they'll be sitting here, don't you think, Sean?
Well, I always tease Jasmine that she would be one of the commissioners someday, and
Might be soon.
I think she might be running against me here pretty soon.
I think it's me.
Is it you? Oh, good. Yeah, because I don't think I could beat her in public speaking or debate.
Still be here.
Yeah, good job. Tried to buy you some time, Matt.
No pressure.
Technology's amazing.
How many days were you guys gone total?
We left Sunday, Sunday the 12th or 11th of July. We came back that Thursday/Friday morning. We didn't have any issues with our flights going out. Everything worked out really well. Comparatively, I don't know who's flown recently, but all I've heard is just terrible, terrible stuff.
I had experience earlier. So.
Did you? Yeah. So we got there late that evening. All of our luggage and everything arrived on time. Since Shane was kind of a last minute add-on, he had a return flight that was different from ours. And so he did get delayed a little bit in Dallas coming back. I don't know if you guys were aware. We went back and forth to Chicago both times. The second time coming back is when they had all the wildfires up in Ontario, I think it was. And so when we got to Chicago, it was bad. Like you could not see outside the windows very well. The airport smelled like it was on fire. I mean, it was.
Like I just hope my pilot can.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't get grounded somehow. So,
Yeah.
And then Shane got in about an hour after us, so we had to take a little nap in the Wichita airport parking lot, but we got it worked out and got everybody home safely. So.
Awesome. Did you have good food while you were down there?
We did, yeah. What else did we? Yeah, they're all like, mm-hmm. Yeah, they thank you for that as well. So, yeah, no, food was great. It's always funny to take them outside of here and be like, guys, we have more than 12 restaurants. There's a whole, and they always choose Chick-fil-A, and they always choose it on Sunday, of course. And,
Oh yeah, when you can't.
Gotta go to Chick-fil-A.
you good to go, Matt?
She's got to email it to me in a different form.
Okay. Any other questions, conversation pieces?
So Shane, how did you end up there? How did that work out? And I'm glad to see the rec involved. That's great.
They thought it would be a good idea to have a stakeholder there this year to see exactly, see how it compares, I don't know if it's holding them accountable that they're doing their jobs or not, but I was impressed by everything. To get these kids to sit in a classroom for 4 days in the middle of their summer, JC and the other two got to move around a little bit, but it was the same class, the same group of people for 3.5 days straight.
Wow.
So getting them to do that in the middle of summer is a big task.
So then did you get to do fun things in the evening after classes ended each day, or just had one day to do things, or?
Yeah, the resort was super nice, and there was a bunch of things to do in it.
Okay.
So besides going to the beach, we went to the mall at one point, and then in the resort there was a cold stone, which that shake was absolutely to die for. That was amazing.
Right.
So I like that. Yeah.
Very good. Good deal.
Okay, we have a short 45-minute movie for you guys. We'll get everybody else talking here in a few minutes.
Wow.
That video was put together by JC, and so we appreciate her work on that. We also had live alligators in the middle of the resort. I guess we forgot to mention that point, and everybody came back with 10 fingers and 10 toes. So
Good. Cool.
Thank you, guys.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you for coming. Thank you.
Okay, yep. Thank you all. Okay, I guess we'll be moving on. Yeah, we probably should do a picture, real quick picture.
If it was a school day, they'd want to stay.
I know, yeah.
He's going straight to auditions.
Poor Maya's got to go back to school in 2 days. She's like, you really made me get up this week earlier? Good day.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, next, item B, 20th Judicial District Juvenile Services, and Chris Woodmansee, our
You
juvenile
can be as
director,
entertaining as that.
will be giving us some details.
Nothing as entertaining or as exciting or, all of the things. Prevention is where my heart's at because I think that it makes a bigger impact and then maybe I wouldn't be before you going through all the stats that we have to keep then for the core programs for juvenile services. So, that's where my heart's at. So, retirement goals, right? So yeah, today I just need to go ahead and give you an update as far as what our FY26 year-end outcomes look like. That's going to be our core programs of intake and assessment, immediate intervention, and then our intensive probation programs. And so, when we look at intake and assessment, the big things that we were looking at there is, again, mitigating that population that goes to detention, making sure that the right population is going to detention, what they went there for, et cetera. And so for our detention numbers, we had about 370 youth go through the 20th Judicial District, and that's going to be Barton, Ellsworth, Russell, Rice, and Stafford. Barton is our biggest county in our district, and with that, we had 154 juvenile offenders come through, and of those, 16 went to detention. We had 3 on allegations of murder, 1 of ag assault, 1 probation violation, 2 alleged burglaries, again, 3 more PVs. We have another alleged murder and then a criminal threat. And so, the PVs are obviously probation violations. Those are youth that are already on some level of supervision. And so they've gone back to detention to return to the court, and just have to answer to those alleged violations. And again, using the word alleged because I didn't take an assessment, they're not found guilty yet. These are all prior to that. But with Barton, like I said, we had 16 that went to detention. We felt that all that went to detention were appropriately assessed and needed to be detained. And so for that, then our next biggest county for us is really then Rice County. And even for Rice County, we only had 2 go to detention, and then the rest tapered off to 0 and 1. So one of the things that we're going to focus on a little bit more for FY27 is then that access to resources after they're coming out of detention and what that looks like. Do we have enough community resources in this community for them to step down from detention so that our county and courts don't have to continue to pay that detention cost? Always questions that we ask to try to be good stewards of the money of not just this county, but the rest that we serve. So I'll just pause for just a minute. If there's any questions as far as that data.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
You started off with detention, 370 juvenile.
Total, sir, I'm sorry.
I don't know. What do you mean by total? Is that out of the whole district?
Yeah,
And just juveniles?
we processed 370 total juveniles, 0, or I should say birth to 17 for the district.
And then the numbers you went to from there were just Barton?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I missed that part.
No, you're good. Thank you. So then the next piece of that then is just with House Bill 2329 and what are going to be the unintended consequences with that. One of the biggest pieces of that House bill passing is it specifically stated that any juvenile's second subsequent arrest was a shall detain. It did not minimize to alleged crime or anything. It just specifically says their second subsequent arrest will be a mandatory detention. And so I have several concerns with that, just because we're not basing it on the level of crime, so we could go down to our lower level misdemeanor batteries, to our lower level misdemeanor possession of marijuana. And I guess for me, those aren't the populations that need to be detained. It's those more heinous ones that I mentioned that we detained in FY26. And so we're just trying to take a really close look at that. And I'm working with the administrative judge to have some kind of memorandum of understanding. So that way, if we feel at juvenile intake and assessment, myself as the director and my supervisors, that if there are some community-based alternatives that I can articulate and assure that this community will be safe if that youth did not go to detention, that we could step away from that component. The second caveat with that is there's only a few detentions across the state. And since COVID, not a single one of them have been operating at full capacity because of staffing issues. And so, for this district being out west, we have access to Garden, Reno, and then we go down the interstate highway there for Junction, Douglas. And then, I'm reaching out to other detentions. We've had a youth down even as far as Girard, Kansas. I mean, that's 4 hours. And then Johnson County is willing to enter into an agreement with Barton County. It's something I've passed on to Mr. Todd just this week. And so it's something that this county can look at. If there is that overflow, that we have to have that available to us, because then when we do have that youth population that has to be detained, I want to make sure that we have all of the possibilities available to us.
And the correct one. Like, you
Yes.
don't want to put someone who assesses here over here, because then
Yes.
that actually makes your situation worse. Like,
Absolutely.
appropriately detain them.
Yeah. It violates all of the risk and protective principles. It violates all of the evidence-based strategies that we use in juvenile and adult supervision. We're supposed to do that correctly, but
Flies in the face of the whole Stepping Up initiative that,
yes.
pilot group that wow.
Yeah. So, but again, this was two bills coming into one just due to some of the outfall with the child crossover population, the child welfare population, and again, that falls into then those behavioral, severe persistent mental illness population. And even then, I get mental illness, and again, thankful for the sheriff to provide training back in May. That's not the population that needs to be in his jail. That's not the population that needs to be detained. So.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So that's intake and assessment. If there's not any other questions or burning thoughts, then I will go on to the next program.
I know she's.
Go ahead.
Oh, great. You're good.
House Bill 2329, second arrest shall detain.
Mm-hmm.
That was for adults and juveniles then.
Well, so for House Bill 2329, that's juveniles. House Bill 2444 is for your adult population.
And those are people that have, it says second arrest shall detain, is what you said, right? Is that people that have already been in trouble? Or does that count for everyone? Like,
for juveniles? It's
yeah,
everyone.
So the first time somebody ever meets Marissa, they get arrested one more time, they're going to the pen.
They're going to detention. Yeah.
Okay, that's.
Yeah, I'm not okay with it, and
I figured it was like they're already under your supervision, then they get arrested 2 times, then it's detained.
Nope.
No.
Mm-mm. No, and so one of the things that, again, partnering with law enforcement in this district is to continue to provide trainings as it relates to all of these laws and updates and whatnot. And so one of the things that came out of Senate Bill 367 was the notice to appears. So for our district, we had always used notice to appears, I think, since 2006. And so 2016 made it mandatory that everybody would use that notice to appear. And so that's where I have to press upon law enforcement is, call me up at 2 a.m., ring, ring, I've got Johnny, and he's got possession of THC, and we're going to go take him to the jail. And so then I have to walk through the steps of, that's a misdemeanor offense. That's not going to meet our initial scoring criteria for detention. Can you just issue an NTA? Can you just do that for tonight and then let us figure out what's going on? And so I know my law enforcement partners, when I say that fancy notice to appear NTA, I get the eyes rolled back and I get the, Marissa, I'm tired of dealing with little Johnny. I hear you, but give us a chance. I hear you, but you really need to just give us a chance. And so that's just me getting in front of all of our law enforcement partners. And if we can continue to push the NTA route as opposed to that second subsequent arrest, I mean,
Maybe there's some common ground to be had, you know? somewhere in
absolutely.
the-
That's what I hope to achieve, and so, great partnerships with all of the law enforcement in this district. I have a new chief over in Rice County that I need to get in some FaceTime with him just to let him, because I don't know what district he came from, but, I just need to get that time and get that in place for all of our partners.
I can't help but say, I think some of the reasons why these things have gone too far one way is because they were too far the other way before.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like a pendulum that just swinging back and forth and.
Yeah.
just-
I agree.
You just get a hold of it and use some common sense.
I agree with you. And I would probably echo the other piece of it is, I feel very fortunate to be in this district and to have the partnerships that I've invested and created over my tenure. And then I look at some of my counterparts across the state and I'm like, why are you making this so hard, man? Go have a conversation. Let's work together. And then, like you said, let's find some common ground, because once we find that common ground, then we don't have to.
And at some point, you can't keep letting them out.
Yeah.
You know, some point they do need to go to detention and.
And community safety. We always at the foot of community safety. Well, all the time. I'm not gonna do that to the community that I live in. So.
All right, I'll quit bugging you, sorry.
No, you're good. I appreciate the questions. Okay, so I'll move on then to our next program. It's the immediate intervention program, and that is our diversion program. So diversion program are for those first-time offenders that we want to try to mitigate continuing into the justice system. And so for us, we actually, I'm excited to share that we had a 94% success rate in FY26. For our diversion, we had over 140 youth go through the program, with only 8 being unsuccessful. So, yeah, that's throughout the entire district, and so, I mean, those are just meeting kids and families where they're at, trying to get those services in place, and like I said, just mitigating them going through the justice system. So, that one's easy. So,
Well, I have questions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'd stop.
No, ask. You're good. What
So,
question?
so that, those high success rates are outstanding.
Thank you.
So what does that mean, though? Like, somebody gets put on diversion, they don't get arrested again during that time, essentially, and so then they come off a diversion and it was successful.
Absolutely, yeah. And then also, just again, back to that risk needs, responsivity principles, and making sure that the youth that are coming through, that we're assessing them, I mean, again, their prefrontal cortex aren't developed. They're not making good decisions all the time. And so, was this a one and done dumb, or was this we need to put some other interventions in place
You
to
bet.
help you, or even kind of like to, piggyback off what Maya said, is this that parental piece? And we've got to include the family in the process, and so, we have access to resources such as functional family therapy and whatnot. And if we can get it implemented there, then again, those are just additional resources to prevent from escalating into the justice system. And so the last step of the justice system then is intensive probation, unless there's any more questions about diversion. Okay. So for our intensive probation, we have 2 things. Again, the success rate is always a driving factor by our partners up at KDOC, Kansas Department of Corrections. And then the second component is program hours. And so we've really, really, really tried to impress our program hours. It's really tough with kids. But we had 36 youth go through intensive probation in FY26, of which 32 were successful, 4 were not successful. That means they either committed additional crimes, technical violations, incarceration, whichever. And so that puts us at about an 88% success rate. So we do meet the 75% per statute for the Kansas Department of Corrections. But then the other piece of it, I said our program hours, all of those kids are supposed to complete said program hours. And again, there's that magic formula that KDOC says that if we have a kid on a very high level of supervision, they need 175 program hours to be good.
In what time frame?
Mhm.
In a year?
Well, no, you got to think that. So for probation, it could be 6 months, 9 months, 15 months. And then you got to throw in that they can earn good time. Then they got like sports, jobs, all those things. So we really fell short. The honest answer is we fell short. We had 45% complete their program hours. It's numbers that we continue to look at. What can we do better? It's just hard. Kids are busy. Their parents are busy, and it's just like 175 hours is a lot.
Well, and kids are dependent on their parents for transportation and to and
Right.
from the program hours. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not always
We
available.
mow the lot so many times.
Right.
I assume it's mowed well.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. I haven't checked because I knew it was under good hands.
Yeah, we got that mower, we got the weed whacker, we got all the things. Yeah. No, it has been a great addition just to have everything right there. I mean, staff and youth, like the youth that participate in the mentoring and the life skills classes, they was like, all right, it's my day.
Does that count towards programming hours?
Yes, it does.
That would help a little bit.
Yep. So I know, yeah, a little bit, but
Yeah.
even those electric mowers, those are fast. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
did you do a good job?
You have to start it up high and then for the next one, lower it one notch.
Right. Yeah. So, just a few things to work on for FY27. It seems odd that we're already for, juvenile services, we're in that second month of the quarter already, but trying to get all of these things relayed to the team and keep the momentum going. So, but I'd be happy to answer any other questions as far as it relates to programming.
I'd just like to commend you for all the energy you've gotten, not giving up, I guess.
Well, thank you. Yeah. No, takes all of us.
Yeah.
So it got a good team behind us, and that's important. Just being willing to pivot at the last minute, sometimes when we need to pivot. So, that adaptability has to be at the forefront of the work that we do. So,
Any more discussion?
I'm just going to say, in light of a challenging year, I think you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
thank you.
I think we all agree to that.
Yes.
So, any more questions? I'm ready for a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd move to approve the fiscal year 2026 year-end outcomes report for the 20th Judicial District Services and authorize the commission chairman to sign grant forms as needed.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. Okay, next, we have the 2025 audit report. And Ms. Smith, our senior auditor, staff accountant, will give us some details.
Okay, let me. Good morning, by the way. I'm Delaney Smith. I'm a senior auditor, staff with Adams Brown here in the Great Bend office. I do also have on the phone Jamie Benishek. She's a principal on this job, so she's joining remotely. So that way, if there's any additional questions that pop up that she can help with, she'll be available as well. So we're just kind of here to go over the 2025 fiscal year audit report and just kind of point out key information that is included with our audit report. So we'll first start with the loose letter that should be in the front of the report. So this loose letter, this is a letter to let you know we had no difficulties with management while preparing and completing the audit. And in this letter is where we would know any recommendations that we had or any material findings that we wanted to know. In the 2025 audit, we did not have any written recommendations or material findings for the county. Okay, so then we'll jump over to the bound report, pages 1, 2, and 3. So pages 1, 2, and 3, this is our independent auditor's report. And this is where your opinion on the financial statements is located. So if you look at paragraph 2 on that page 1, you do receive an adverse opinion on US GAAP, and that is because you waive that financial each year. And then in paragraph 3, you received an unmodified opinion on regulatory basis, which is the KMAG basis, and that is the cleanest opinion you can receive on an audit. Then the next several pages, we always recommend just kind of reviewing. This kind of goes into what it means to have an audit done on your financial statements, and also goes into what's auditor's responsibilities in an audit versus management's. Okay, then we're gonna jump over to page 4. So pages 4 and 5, this is the financial statement that the opinion is issued on. A few things I do want to note, you'll see a couple funds are negative. This is just grant funds, so this is you'll be receiving that reimbursement in the quarter following the fiscal year. So those look a little funny being negative, but it's just that reimbursement still is coming in. I do also want to mention the county was under the threshold for the single audit this year. The threshold did move to $1 million, and the county had less than $1 million in federal expenditures. So there was no single audit needed completed in the 2025 fiscal year. And as of December 31st of 2025, the county had unencumbered cash of $23,890,356. Okay, so then we're going to jump to page 6. Pages 6 through 13, this is our footnotes and policies that kind of make up the financial statements. There was no new standards this year, so there isn't really any big changes in those footnotes. And as part of our audit, we do review entities for Kansas statute compliance. And this year we just had one item that we wanted to note, and it was just a small budget violations with the mental health fund and the developmentally disabled fund. And this was, you spent what you received, but it just was minorly over the budget amount. So we just had to note that this year, and so that will be listed in those footnotes. Okay, then we're going to jump to page 14. So page 14, this is your summary of expenditures actual to budget. So this is all your budgeted funds and their comparison from your total expenditures in 2025 compared to your budgeted amount. And then the several remaining pages, this will be each individual fund. And on each fund page, it will show a comparison of prior year to current year, and then also a comparison in the breakdown of budget if that is a budgeted fund. And so I won't go into detail on any particular fund unless there's questions that you guys have on a particular fund that we can help answer now. If not, I can always take it back with me and get an answer back with Matt as well. So that's mainly what we have for you guys. We just like to kind of give you an overview, let you know what's all included in the audit report. I do know audit reports are a lot of information, so if questions come up later, we are also available for questions later as well. So that is all I had for you guys this morning.
Thank you, Delaney. You did a good
No
job.
problem. Thank you.
And I think Matt did an excellent job.
Yes.
Sounds like, so. And the department, you bet.
Yes, they do a great job of getting us information, makes it a smooth process for the audit, and we can get a lot prepped even before we come on field work. So all the help that they do remotely as well helps move the audit pretty smoothly.
For very much of it anymore? Is most
No, we're about down to about 1 day, and then single audit sometimes has additional, but we're about down to just 1 day of field work. So
wow, very good.
Makes it very nice, and Matt's always quick of answering questions and all the staff. So it really helps us move the audit process and hopefully make it easy on you guys as well too. But that's
Clean audit is always a relief.
Yes.
When you say that. So, and I think there again, we have to give Matt and all the department heads credit for that also. So
I was wondering if Matt or you, Delaney, could explain the difference quickly between unencumbered cash and reserves.
So the unencumbered cash, this is, that will be your total cash just that you have within all your funds in general. And then your reserves, those will be your specified funds. I don't know if you have any additional you want.
Yeah, so reserves will be a component of that 23 million. So our reserves will be somewhere in that 23 million in unencumbered cash.
But we don't have 23 million in reserves.
Yeah.
No.
We don't have 23 million available to us.
Correct.
Right.
So you see that, so like when we're working on the 2027 budget, that cash carry forward, our starting point, a lot of it is in there, and then it comes, so we have a higher cash carry forward that is going to fund the next year's budget. Yeah.
Good, thank you.
okay, do we have any more discussion? I see none.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move to accept the 2025 audit report as submitted by Adams Brown.
I'll second that.
Got a first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Hey, thank you guys for your time.
You.
Okay.
Okay, another note I'd like to say, that December 31st unencumbered cash, we've just started collecting our tax collections. And so, of course, we get the majority of our money that's going to fund us throughout the following year. So I think it looks a little odd, but.
Yeah, and to be straight, I do understand that. I just wanted to make sure everybody else understood.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I should have asked you from the start, is what I should have done. I should have said no.
Okay, next we do the KNRC, which is Kansas Natural Resource Coalition. And Mr. Potzner, our County Administrator, will provide some details.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
The Kansas Natural Resource Coalition requests that each member county consider 2 ballot questions relative to the KNRC's proposed participation in federal litigation involving recent Endangered Species Act regulatory changes. Ballot question 1 is, should the Kansas Natural Resource Coalition be authorized to participate at no cost to KNRC or its member counties in federal litigation defending the repeal of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's regulatory definition of harm under the Endangered Species Act? And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, I think everybody read all of the information that we got. And I don't know, I think there's nothing wrong with at least having a voice. And we had joined the KNRC for a reason, and that's kind of what they're recommending. And I don't know, what does everybody else think?
Well, I think we should support this action. I mean, I feel like that this is just protecting our landowner rights. The broad definition of the word harm has included now unintentional harm. So like grazing cattle in an area that they deemed now has a threatened species in it would be unintentional harm, and you could be prosecuted for that. Oil production would be included because it's unintentional, but that would be included in harm. So in my opinion, I think we should fight against that so that they don't take
I think
those.
this definition is way too broad.
It's very, very, very broad.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's what I took out of it also. You know, I suppose if you're speeding and something flew out in front of your car, you could be held responsible for it, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's a little far-fetched.
I mean, they even talked about like county ditches. If we mowed somewhere, we would be liable for harm. So, I mean, or infrastructure improvements. I think it's very broad.
Yeah, it's just a little bit too broad. I think just kind of narrow it down so, you know, we're still protecting our wildlife. So, okay. Any more discussion on this? Okay, well, I think I'm ready for a motion.
So would you like, Mr. Chair? I move to vote yes to the ESA definition of harm on the ballot question number 1. Should the Kansas Natural Resource Coalition be authorized to participate at no cost to the KNRC or its member counties in federal litigation defending the repeal of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's regulatory definition of harm under the Endangered Species Act? Direct the chairman to vote accordingly on behalf of the commission.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, now we move on for the second item on the KNRC. And it'll take another vote also, and Mr. Potzner will give us some details.
So the second ballot question, should the Kansas Natural Resource Coalition be authorized to participate at no cost to the KNRC or its member counties in federal litigation defending the repeal of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's blanket Section 4D rule? And just to expand on that a little bit, the Endangered Species Act distinguishes between species listed as endangered and those listed as threatened. However, under the blanket Section 4D rule, the federal government generally applied the same broad prohibitions used for endangered species to newly listed threatened species, unless the service later adopted a species-specific exception.
Yeah, everybody think the same way on this? They're just talking about the blanket section.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we should support this one as well. I think, again, it puts the burden back on the landowner when the burden should really be on the agency that's trying to enforce a very broad rule. So they should say, we have found this and this is the reasons why. And by giving them a blanket, it pretty much lets them have quite a bit of government overreach.
Correct. That's how I took it also. And that was, whether it's threatened or endangered, I suppose a blanket section could consider both of them.
Right, that's what they're applying it as
So
currently.
basically prove to us that it's threatened or endangered. We're not trying to do any harm to the animals. We're just trying to protect against the landowners. So. Okay, do you have more discussion?
You ready for a motion?
I'm ready.
Move to vote yes to the ESA blanket section 4D, rule ballot number 2. Question, should the Kansas National Resource Coalition be authorized to participate at no cost to KNRC or its member counties in federal litigation defending the repeal of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services blanket section 4D rule? Direct the chairman to vote accordingly on behalf of the commission.
I second that.
Okay, we got first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we move on to executive session. Do we have a need for executive session right now? I see none. Okay, moving on to ending business, the announcements. Following the close of the agenda meeting, the commission will consider the authorization of personal changes for classified positions, sign any documentation approved during the agenda meeting, or sign any other documentation required for regular county business. Similar action may take place throughout the day. The commission is invited to attend the Barton County Farm Bureau Association annual meeting and dinner beginning at 5 p.m. Sunday, August 16th, 2026 at the Black Walnut Event Venue, 292 Northeast 10th Avenue, Great Bend, Kansas. There will be a business meeting, election of certain board members, and honorees presentation. And the appointments, we move on to, yes.
So mentioning the Great Bend.
Yes, the open house at the Great Bend Tribune. I don't have the ad.
5 to 8 tonight on Forest Avenue. What's the address?
It is 2012.
Close enough.
Okay. There's a sign out that says Great Bend Tribune, so that's where we'll be. Yeah, we'll be invited. So.
Our 150th anniversary.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
And that is the longest serving longest. Sorry, I don't know what I'm trying to say. The oldest business in Barton County or Great Bend?
The longest continuous business in at least Great Bend. I don't know.
Right.
I would potentially think Barton County also. But
I would imagine. Okay, and this is great, keeping local newspaper with local news. Very important. Very important. Yeah, and local ownership too. So, I mean, it's not very many counties can say that they've even got a newspaper, much less something like this. So, thank you all. Okay, the appointments, all subject to change. The following appointments have been scheduled at 9:45 or close of the agenda meeting. Planning session with media consultant at 10 o'clock. Regular business meeting, Matt Postner, County Administrator. At 10:15, program update, Barton County Soil Conservation. 10:30, looks like we're going way past that. 10:30, Communication Department. The commission will continue discussion with Sheriff Brian Bellendier, reference administrative function of the Communications Department. 11:30, program update, Jay Lerman. At noon, the commissioners will continue discussion. At 1:30, executive session, personal matters of non-elected personnel. The commission will enter into the executive session pursuant to KSA 75-7319 B4. The commission may invite such parties as needed into said session. It is anticipated that the commission will interview a candidate for the position of public health director. The executive session will be held in the conference room at the courthouse. And at 2 o'clock.
Same thing.
At 2:30. Okay. just to repeat what I just said.
Sorry, I was trying to help you.
No, that's fine.
We're going to do the same thing.
Same thing. Okay, thank you. 3:30, program update, Josh Beckman, County Engineer Kirkman and Michael. 3:45, program update, Chris Schartz, County Works Director. County Edition, KVGB AM, Thursday at 11:05 a.m. Members of the Health Department are scheduled for August 13th, 2026. And another business discussion items, and this is mainly for the commissioners. Have discussion? No discussion.
I had one. I was
Yes.
just going to invite everybody to Forest Street tonight from 5 to 8 to come celebrate the Tribune, but I think we've already covered that.
It's okay. It never hurts for another reminder.
One more time.
Okay, citizens or organization may present requests or proposals for initial consideration. I see none. Okay, the commissioners are available to the public on Tuesdays during regular business hours. One or more commissioners may be present in the commission chambers conducting county business throughout the day on Tuesdays. The commissioners may individually schedule personal appointments related to the county business at their discretion. And the next regular meeting will be at 9 a.m. Tuesday, August 18th, 2026. And with that, I'm ready for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.